what to expect necessarily. I think there's going to be a bunch of extra plants in the jungle here. We don't have the new assassins necessarily in this particular game, but we're starting off slow, ladies and gentlemen, as we hop on to the Rift for game number 1 of IWCA 2016.
So there's a lot to talk about. Mastery changes, a lot of different things that we will take you through as we go throughout the game. Of course, Alistair, for those of you that
has been
kind of seen
changed
it,
a little.
He's been changed around, now has no activatable heal. It's on his passive, so it will kind of proc when it's met. However, Trample was moved to his E, so a little bit more damage when it comes to like deciding to have that damage come out, and that, of course, that minion pathing that Trample used to allow you to have. So there's a lot of changes. We'll keep up with them throughout.
Allowing you to control the damage rather than control the heal is kind of cool. My personal opinion. I was recently beaten in the mid lane by an Alistair, but now in the bottom lane, so we're fine. It was being played by Spawn. It was a horrible experience. That guy's very, very good at AP Alistair.
So one of the first things people notice is junglers are starting on their buff camps, which is something that is different from days gone by.
Oh my goodness. And does this mean something about level 3 after 2 camps?
Oh, it normally does. We've seen a lot of solo queue plays where you go red, you grab the Krugs, you go into a lane. And you're level 3 off 2 camps. You can see here the lanes are going to come and help. It's only a single monster that spawns now on the buff camps. Gone are the small ones on the side, so certain junglers do end up with better clear now as well because of it.
The Cinderlings will be missed.
They will. They will, but
and I mean, little sentries as well, of course.
The reason for this is they spawn a couple of seconds earlier now than the other camps as well. So there's a bigger difference. It kind of forces you onto a buff camp, and we're really going to have to learn how this affects the competitive jungle pathing because it's a significant change to the early game.
Yeah, and right now Revolta, you can see, going for that level 3 very early. He's going to smite away that big Krug. And the little ones just keep on coming.
Yep, you see they end up spawning after, and then Revolta is going to have to deal with this, and they keep on coming. So
the red buff, of course, keeping him relatively healthy, and by relatively I mean extremely. No charges on that refillable potion either, as he's going to head towards that bottom side. Pings out the ward, though. They know exactly what's going on, as we are going to poke our heads in at the Keystone Masteries. A lot of strength of the Aegis, but no courage of the Colossus here this time around as Lex. Oh, there's the flash as Edward's in a whole host of trouble. He's going to flash, but the exhaust is already down. End of the line comes in, he walks away, but doesn't get far enough. First blood for Revolta.
And you can see how different this early pathing is, how strong the level 3 off the bottom side to get into the duo lane. Dude gets himself into the mix, they get the first kill. The answer for it by Zanzara is to go aggressive into the enemy jungle, but Revolta's going to pick the same thing up here. We'll have to watch how this now evolves into a next step. Zanzara's onto the Wolves, trying to take away a little bit more of that jungle.
And he saw Lex actually walk in there as well. Took out the blast cone, or popcorn, or combustion kernel, whatever you'd like to call it.
I was going to call it the fire flower.
Doesn't sound too bad. I feel like there's a lot of options. I mean, we've got a 4-day period here for IWCA. We'll be able to come up with the names that we want for all of the plants in the jungle. And do you want to take us through, Stress, what these plants are, as we do have a replay first?
First of all, we'll take us through the bottom side. This is just Edward getting caught out, then exhausted. And this is just the early game damage. Easy, you know, combo there.
He's level 3. They were level 1.
He is... Oh, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
It is very, very ridiculous, Stress.
One thing that I'm keeping my eyes on a little bit there that may have had an influence in the bottom side is another one of the mastery changes. We'll come back to the plants in a second. PBO, I wonder whether he's running Greenfather's Gift, one of the new offensive masteries from the middle tree, where if you stand in a bush, it ends up giving you bonus damage on your next attack and synergizes pretty well with Ezreal. A lot of trading heavily throughout this early game.
Certainly is. And of course, Poppy versus Nautilus. It's not a matchup you expect to be super powerful, as Kira takes a lot of damage from Kami here, who's playing aggressively in this mid lane. Zanzara looking to try and capitalize on this. We'll see whether he can tunnel his way in effectively. Is going to get there. The flash knockup should be available, but no. Ghost goes down. Kami's going to be safe as Revolta turns up as well. The pings are coming in. But Miniwave in the right position here for CIS. Everything is going to be okay.
Revolta just going to make it a little bit more difficult for Kira to farm here, forces out the pool, gets a little damage down, and trying to just shove the next wave in, because unless Zanzara sticks around, there's no real way of Kira staying here safely. He's going to try, but as Revolta goes a little too close under the tower.
Is it too close, or is he just sending a message? He does still have flash. If he gets a flash into the line, Kira might be in trouble.
Kira.
Oh, no, not going to get in. Poor Revolta, I thought that maybe that was your opportunity. He did tell me before the game that he was going to play Mundo, so he's already lied to me. And now, not even going to go in on this obvious kill.
He's just toying with you.
He most certainly is. Playing with my heart stress.
Yeah, Revolta was not at the point for level 6. If it had that, that was pretty much an easy kill for him, but early enough that that wasn't the case. And you can see Smurf is getting pushed in fairly heavily in this early game. That's one of the strengths of Nautilus, is that Riptide, plus the ability to just trade heavily into Smurf with that shield that he's got on as well. Makes it really tough for Smurf actually to kind of last through this early game. Smurf's done an okay job, but has had Zanzara.
Oh! You'll have time to practice that one, Zanzara. Don't worry, we'll be all fine. Of course, he already had the tunnel available, so maybe he was just trying to get rid of the blast cone to make sure that Revolta didn't have too many opportunities. Who's now also on his Krugs on the other side of the map. Jungle is just farming things out for the moment. Only a wolf camp available as far as that jungle. There is nothing else on the map apart from a dragon.
That allows us to talk a little bit about the flowers, the plants that are in the jungle.
Finally! I mean, I tried to get this ages ago.
Just saw the blast cone. What happens? You stand on it and it'll kind of point you in a direction when you explode it, but you've got to line it up. You've got to do it. It's from where you're standing. Another one that Dude is just ever so kindly timing right for us.
Thank you very much.
Is the scrying plant. What that does is gives you vision as the pollen sweeps up and down the rift. Now, that will have given away where Dude is on the map. That is one thing to note, is the enemy team will have that indicator that somebody has popped that flower. So at that point, Dude was spotted out. But that is a significant amount of time that you get that vision for. It's 12 seconds, and spots out all the wards in the way as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. The fact that you get the true sight on all of the wards that are in the area is such a big deal, especially when it is around these important objectives like the Dragon, like the Baron. There are these scrying orbs put down up there, so see how they are going to be utilized as the game continues. At the moment, looks like no one's heading towards that Dragon pit, apart from Revolta, who's just hanging around, trying to get himself to his next camp, which might be in the enemy jungle.
And those of you with an astute eye will have noticed that Rift Herald is not spawning yet.
No, he's not
it
there.
It spawns a little bit later.
Harold had got lazy.
Yeah, a couple of changes. So lots of things are a little different on the map. Little changes, but it adds up to a lot. Another change, control wards replace pink wards.
Exactly. Pimp my pink ward, I think is what it is.
I'm sure we'll get onto those when there's a champion with stealth in play, but Zanzara stealthily...
Oh, really, really nice stun there, and the knockaway from Kami. Doesn't have the ghost. Well, doesn't actually have to use the ghost, more like, as Kira has thrown his down. No extra damage to be taken here by Zanzara, but Yang's actually looking to get himself in there. Depth charge had been leveled up, but didn't actually make it in. Decided not to use the flash or anything like that.
Tried to get into the lane. We'll have to watch out how Yang actually can play the rest of this game out, because honestly, he's going to become such a difficult member of the Brazilian team here to deal with, because Nautilus just has so much crowd control in the team fights. He's able to just hold his own. Bottom lane, Edward in trouble again.
Yeah, another flash there as Edward is going to make it safely out. Dude, flashing in for the Pulverize was an optimistic move. Unfortunately, did not pay off. But trading flashes on the supports is absolutely fine. Probably something that Dude wanted to hold on to, though, just being that Alistair. The fact that that flash headbutt is very important. Flash Pulverize as well.
Yang, this time his shield's being popped. Zanzara's around the back.
Oh my goodness, good death charge for the double knock-up as the dredge line gets Yang to relative safety. He does have the flash. He's going to use it to get himself out. Nicely done. I thought he was definitely dead, because that was a very, very deep gank path from Zanzara.
Yeah, that was a really nice depth charge to be able to get out of that, getting that double knock-up and able to get away from it. So Yang holding his own. We saw a lot of this out of Yang. Worlds, just being able to kind of survive through some situations. Not in every game, but I mean, even the best top laners will tell you that it's difficult to survive 2v1s every single time, but excited to see what Yang and Revolta can do with the rest of the team here, obviously some of their adversaries. And finally,
the honey fruit
is going to show us the honey fruit. So you pop it, drop some, pick up like relic-style things on the floor, just the fruit, the seeds.
Yeah, the little fruits.
Walk over them, get some health back, but it does slow you at the same time. So
yeah,
some
you get a bit of mana as well. We'll see whether anyone's going to use it. Oh, actually, Kira's in trouble. Does get the pull-off in time. Or the army was... Oh, my goodness. Okay, collateral damage, not quite enough. And Kira says, not even close. A baby.
Single-digit elf by the looks of it, so Kira just able to stay alive. Here comes the Abyssal Voyage, though. Looks like they go in mid.
Edward getting himself into the mid lane. He was just going solo just to defend this turret, and he's going to do so effectively as Revolta and Kami say, well, we got an ultimate. We may as well go home.
it was just a defensive ultimate to hold the tower, which is very strange now because Edward's not going to have that for a while. It was timed right when Lex went back as well, so there's no way of them trying to capitalize on Kami's lane advantage in this middle lane by bringing the Tahm Kench up again. So I'm interested to see how the next couple of minutes of this game is going to play out now that Edward's ult is not there. Wonder whether that leaves Kira a little bit in the lurch again and under the pressure, because he's constantly getting pushed back and constantly low health under turret.
Yeah, it certainly is. If you have a look at the CS numbers as well, you can see about a 10 CS lead for PBO here. The rookie.
Sanzara's
There's the arrow. Good arcane shift, but it's just a little bit too late as he takes the CC with him. Heal goes out. Good flash gets himself over the wall. Oh my goodness! The Prey Seeker finds him. And Zentara grabs the first kill for CIS.
All from Dude not being in the lane there to play defensively with him. PBO was pushed way too far up, and yes, okay, Arcane Shift will get you out of most things, but because it's a blink, the stun ends up channeling afterwards, so hits him and doesn't quite dodge out of the way, so a little unfortunate for PBO, couldn't get himself out of the way in time.
Yeah, Revolta is going to be able to pick up this farm here underneath the turret. Dude's going to turn up, but let's have a look at that one more time, as it's just a little late.
So he input the Arcane Shift, but got caught just before he ended up going, and Prey Seeker into somewhat the shadows.
Yeah,
to pick up the kill.
Hectic Prey Seeker damage there as well. As good stun once again from Kami. Dredgeline is dodged by the pull. Kira once again just getting it himself out of the way of trouble. Is going to be fine. Mountain Drake now being taken by Team Ice. It's CIS utilizing the fact that PBO is no longer there. Only just turned up back to that bottom side. Dude can use that scrying. Decides to use it backwards. Odd maneuver. They just knew that that was happening. Didn't need to.
Botany can be difficult.
Very true.
You've got to talk to your plants, take care of them, you know, play the music.
He's not necessarily a green thumb, I think. We'll just see who's the best gardeners on the Rift as we play out this patch further on in the week. There's Yang, of course. We did see the interaction between Steadfast Presence and Dredgeline. It's kind of cute. The fact that Yang can't get himself all the way towards the Poppy. Speaking of Poppy, Smurf going to grab himself a whole bunch of honey fruit, get himself back a bunch of mana. Should be absolutely fine. True Shot Barrage, PBO just clearing out the minion wave. Is still ahead in farm by 10, but Lex now has those Berserker's Greaves, building towards his Infinity Edge. Getting stronger and stronger is this Ashe.
Yeah, going for that Infinity Edge. First, a lot of the AD carries have started to do this a lot more. Dude's mad.
He is.
Pulverizes the ground. A lot of AD carries started to do this a lot more during Worlds, where, you know, a long time we were going kind of BF Sword into Hurricane, as a lot of AD carries did. End up just going Infinity Edge first. So interested to see whether that maintains itself. There were changes to some of the AD carry items, and, you know, the way lethality and armor penetration work, and the way that Fury of Battle was changed. So when we see some more of the matchups that were affected by that, perhaps we'll get a little deeper into that. But certainly there are a couple of AD carries that people feel like have fallen off somewhat. Jhin would be the one of them.
Yep.
And Lucian, because the Fury of Battle changes, maybe not going to be seen quite so much.
Well, I'm
not that we saw him much anyway before.
Yeah, I quite like Lucian. I think he's pretty good. But we'll see what is going to happen. I just want to see a Duskblade of Drakthar Vayne. That's what I really want to see.
We can do some Vayne spotting.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Getting into that brush, getting that extra damage now on that item. Do you think it's very, very cute? The fact that you get the tumble as well. If you tumble into the brush, oh my goodness. All of that burst damage. We'll see. Of course, not going to happen this game, as we are going to see another steal by Zanzara. Yang's actually going to move his way in, but not going to get there in time. Dredgeline not going to be thrown out. Scrying Plant is going to see Smurf.
I feel like we've
Scryer's Bloom, of course, is what it's called.
I feel like we've had more camp steals than we've actually had.
Yeah, I feel like it's just, no. We've just split the Rift the wrong way. It's now, you've got bottom side is just the bottom lane. So that's going to be Fire's side, or Brazil's side. And then CIS have the top side of the map.
Yeah, there's been a lot of action in each other's jungle right now, but you can see how the vision game is being played out with the Scryer's Bloom, with the control wards that are being bought and placed. There was at one point where the Brazilian team had 4 control wards.
Yeah.
And had them all down, so a little bit of a lull in the action, but that's kind of to be expected now, as we've got an Ezreal that's powering up, an Ashe that's powering up, tanks getting tanky in the top side, and then a mid lane where nobody's really killing each other without a gank.
Yeah. Kami as well, of course, just throwing out the orbs that are going to stick around for quite some time, given the fact that he has got 5 points in that queue already. was able to stack up a whole host and see whether that Unleashed Power is going to be able to get himself a kill, because it's not looking like it is against Kira. He will have to move himself away. Yang, lots of damage here. Just fighting in these Titan's Wrath windows is so important for Nautilus, and it's working out very, very well when he is able to do so as a Visible Voyage. Edwards looking for a gank here in the mid lane. Kira gets the flash. Kami's going to flash away. Does have the Ghost running. His Hemoplague's going to come down. Good slow comes in.
He's running into Lex.
Yeah, can he get himself out of the way? He doesn't have the flash. No stun comes in as Kira's going to get the kill. And Edward's going to stop Lex from falling down. Meanwhile, yes, Smurf's in trouble. Collateral damage is there. Red buff. Oh my god! Picks it up with a smoke screen. When was the last time you saw that? 6.23 smoke screen can now get killed. Fantastic.
Just that last little bit of health. Finally, a little more action as, you know, we saw the mid lane focus being put on Kami. Topside has been more of the focus over the last couple of minutes for Revolta and Yang, but Dude and PBO, they're looking like they want to back away from this tower. The tower race is on, and I think it's going over on the top side. I think barely Brazil will get this.
Yeah, Yang gets a couple of autos, able to reset that one with his Titan's Wrath, and that secures it. That was extraordinarily close. Means now Brazil out to about 1,000 gold lead. That is nothing here. 16 minutes into the game. This could not be closer for our first match of IWCA.
Yeah, so this was the attempt onto Kami. This is what we were talking about earlier, being able to kind of combo with that Abyssal Voyage, bring multiple people into that middle lane. And Kami thought he was dodging out, but Lex fire flowers himself over and gives Kira the kill. So nice little situation to use that in.
Yep, popcorns his way into the action. As there's the flash smoke screen. Oh, baby.
Would you call that a flashbang?
Yes, absolutely. Just stunning. He's got a big gun as well. It makes sense. Stress, you're good at this. Very good at this.
I mean, it's more that it can't really be a smoke screen, right? Because you can't have that point. So Poppy ends up falling. Tower dies on top side. Kami and Kira still trading in the middle lane. This has been a relentless game of trading.
Most certainly has been, as Kira does have his proto belt completed, but no Spirit Visage. In fact, only the Mercury Shreds as far as that magic resist. Would have liked to see something like a, at least a Spectre's Cowl built up early, but not going to. Just going to skip that one for the moment, as Kira's going to get stunned, trying to turn it around here as well as the pull comes out. Good Abyssal Voyage gets Edward in. Oh, there's the collateral damage for the kill on the mid laner, and Kira was trying to turn it around. Brazil were just too quick.
And this time you can see Brazil are just holding this mid lane and pushing out top side as well. Smurf is trying to push out on the bottom side. So again, Brazil this time preempt the play from Edward. They're looking at the map and saying, okay, where can this play actually come? It's going to be mid lane. And the ability to just survive through that goes pretty heavily in Brazil's favor. This time you got that Scryer's Bloom. Dragon's dropping pretty low.
Oh, Edward's in trouble here. We'll see whether they're going to sacrifice him. They are going to do so as Zanzara grabs himself the dragon. In goes Yang. The shutdown comes in as Lex has been exhausted. He's going to fall down. 2 members dead already as PBO just gets into the dragon pit. Everyone on this side is tearing through the CIS as Smurf is now the last man standing in this particular engage. Edward just watching from the sidelines as the big tank Poppy eventually falls down.
Welcome to the League of Tanks again. If you don't have the damage this point, it's so difficult to actually deal with him. Kira, still full health, but that's a lot of damage coming in onto him now.
Yeah, dude didn't actually quite find the pulverize as Kira's able to use the proto belt to get himself out. The ghost was used as well, didn't have the flash, but that's going to mean the tower for Brazil. They are able to easily take that one down.
Yeah, tower drops bot side now. Kami is pushing up as well. So this is going so well. And considering just how many of our analysts were talking about how strong the CIS region were, you can see that they maybe are even slightly behind the curve on their champion picks here when we look at what they're playing, because these tanks are so difficult for them to deal with here. Lex comes forward into the fight and doesn't realize Yang's about to just turn on him. Yang alone deals at least half of his health there for Lex, and it's just a little cleanup from the rest of you know, PBO and DU to get into that fight. From here, Smurf 1v3 is not going to happen because he just doesn't have the damage, so PBO's just going to whittle him down over time, and it's an easy setup because there's just not enough damage out of the CIS team to allow Team Ice to stay alive in this.
Yeah, and it's just a horrible situation to be in as well, because that's Nautilus Alistar. I mean, there's no combination of 2 champions that has more CC than that. And you saw he was just in a bouncy castle, and then he was just being corralled. Just horrible for the Poppy to deal with towards the end there, but we'll see whether our Ice...
Oh, the sneak.
Oh,
Edward.
that's cute.
It's cute, but it should have been a 3.
It certainly
Edward
should have.
I like the idea, and this is something synonymous with what the CIS region were doing at Worlds, because this is what Albus Nox did time and time again. Brazil have no idea. As good as their champion picks were, their ability to register that Baron was being taken because of the Fire Flower at the back, that's the CIS region right back in this game.
Right in a nutshell as well. It's just exactly what they were doing all throughout Worlds. Doesn't matter, Lacrit not there, Edward is. Didn't get himself over the wall, but just uses his ultimate. Absolutely fine. Is Kira not going to get stunned? And Kami's just like, why are these minions purple? Is this another patch change? What's happening?
Well, that's another thing to watch out for. I mean, I'm sure people have had that in solo queue happen. Oh.
Doesn't find Kami, who's safely underneath his turret for now. Clears out these minions. She is certainly able to do, even with that Baron buff active. Syndra does have a fair bit of wave clear, especially now with that Morellonomicon.
And that was a Baron right after it spawned.
Yeah, that was on the spawn.
2020 at that point. And clear sight on CIS being able to pick that up, because that was a really fresh move in the first game on 623 we've really had in, you know,
they started it moving pretty quickly. We'll see whether any of our other IWC teams are now just going to be either warding for that very aggressively or trying to do it themselves. This could be a new thing.
Gets the plant spawn behind there, the favorable spawn. Now everybody's going to be like, dude, why did
I want to see the sick
no
Baron power play for this as well, because I have a feeling, well, at the moment,
it's going to be pretty low
that
right
huge.
Now.
Exactly.
Only because they aren't able to push towers out. But what this does do is slow down the Brazilian team, Team Fire, the representatives on the blue side. So it's slowing them down. It's really now kind of working against Yang. There's no real way of him pushing out quite as effectively. Riptide plus the Titan's Wrath, the shield damage.
Sunfire,
pretty much
he's got
all
that.
magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is literally all magic, apart from, you know, smacking his anchor and stuff. As Kira's going to get stunned, but just flat out does not care about it, especially with the Merc Treads. And a wave once again getting shoved in. But look, this tower is so healthy. The CIS just can't really make any headway. Smurf is going to make some tracks here towards the bottom lane. But Yang will turn up. Should be able to help this one out. At least with what clear he has against these Baroned up minions. See how bad it is, Stress.
We'll see how bad it is indeed. I'm being told that the CBLoL representatives have done twice the amount of damage as the CIS representatives in this game. We'll see whether that maintains itself, because if CIS get to a point where they're killing the Brazilian tanks over and over again, that damage stat later on is going to ramp pretty far up, because...
yeah, and if you look at these team compositions as well, I mean, CIS did build a team around late game damage, late game control as well, and things like the Vladimir and the Ashe, as well as that Poppy. And Fire, they've got a Graves, who does so much early game damage, as well as the Syndra.
And even Nautilus does a surprising amount of damage
very
as well.
true.
I mean, when you look at lane trading, there's actually not that much damage. When you look at it in raw numbers, it's more of percentages when you look at top lane dominant champions early on. But by the end of the game, it kind of tapers off and looks like a really insignificant stat. But at that point, we'll keep a track of the damage as we go on.
Exactly. You did see the fact that Yang just doesn't care about anything on the bottom side of the map at the moment with his double armor items, as well as the 6 stacks on his Dark Seal, giving him that little bit of extra damage.
Just a touch extra.
Yeah, they're just throwing stuff at each other.
I mean, realistically, Yang will never have those stacks drop off.
Yeah.
Yang should never die for the rest of this game if he's playing, you know, in a situation where he's not overextending on his own. So that should be fairly straightforward. And as Dragon spawns, Revolt is on the other side of the map. So this is going to be a third Mountain Drake going over to the CIS squad. So if ever they do get in front of the Baron again, it's going to die really quickly, or even behind Baron again.
Well, Scryer's Bloom is going to be used, but you can see Yang, he's just going to go back to base. So yeah, Triple Mountain is going to be picked up by CIS, the team that just wants to kill neutral objectives.
We'll
we know that.
Can get there.
Yeah. This one's going to be respawning in a very short time, and by this one I mean the Baron.
So, a lot of people are going to say, hey, we had an assassin update. Why are we not seeing assassins? Well, this is one of the reasons, is because with the amount of tanks and Courage of the Colossus and no real negative change to the Syndras, the Vlads, the Victors, where they still can be picked. You have to win the game in the first like 15 to 20 minutes so heavily that this can't happen where the game gets stalled for an assassin to consistently be viable. And honestly, people have got too good at this point of stalling out games that it's such a difficult prospect.
You have to remember as well is that learning curve is a big deal when things change like this. A lot of players take quite a long time to figure out exactly what's going on, as Yang's going to flash and Randuin's Omen Edward to try and get him down here. A lot of damage available. End of the line's going to do it as Revolta grabs himself another kill, but Kira, he's going to turn it around there in the mid lane. He's running real quick, and he's able to get away with that kill on a PBO.
Fed Nautilus is a bit of a silly champion.
Oh, yes.
Because you can't get away from him particularly easy, and you can't kill him at the same time, so you don't really have too much of a choice.
Stress, he has CC on his passive.
Yes, it's great.
That's not very passive.
That's very true.
It's bothersome. As Smurf and Zanzara are able to get themselves out of the way of any potential sticky situations. Is Kami in trouble? Kira, a couple of moves, is able to do some work. He's now underneath the turret, but has that pull available, of course. Is going to be fine, has a giggle, walks back to the tower.
Oh, teleport coming in, though, from Yang. We'll see whether he can get right onto Kira.
Oh, real good dredge line. Should it be enough? It is, as Kami grabs it with an auto attack. Zanzara right in the back line as well, as Revolta's in trouble. There's the Sorry. Not even, my brain just broke because there's a brand new item here that we've started things off with. I believe it's Redemption, isn't it?
Yeah, Redemption.
I was correct.
Right.
And then it's just started. Like, there's this huge circle, and I'm like, oh god, it's so exciting and glorious.
You started, and I was like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's the first time, man. I was a Redemption.
Oh, that shield.
Edward is going to get destroyed. Revolta locks down that kill, and now Lex waiting at the back, but he's only on half health. The tower falls down very quickly, and Brazil pushing forward once again. This inhibitor turret possibly in trouble. They don't have Mountain Drakes, but they can just kill the CIS players and get under these turrets themselves. Dredgeline comes in. Oh my goodness, Smurf.
This is disgusting.
Yeah, tanks
Yang just doesn't die.
Oh goodness, Lex did manage to land the arrow at least, but Zanzara now trying to get himself into the backline. PBO is going to fall. That is the AD carry, so a lot of consistent damage now missing. Revolta, the only other option is Yang just fed to the walls. Is he gonna die? Okay, he is, eventually. Lex takes him down, but that took a long time.
That was ridiculous, but at this point, this actually backfires from how far up Brazil pushed, because now CIS, with their 3 Mountain Drakes, can turn to the Baron for the second time in this game. And to explain a little bit of what happened there and why people are looking at that and thinking, well, why didn't Yang die for so long? I can confirm they are running Courage of the Colossus. Our graphic earlier showed a little bit different.
Okay.
It is Courage of the Colossus that is being played, and what that means is every time Yang hits a hook and drags himself into multiple people, he gets a percentage health-based shield depending on how many enemies are around him. So between that and Titan's Wrath, he gets over half of his health of a shield. And we're going to probably watch some of that happen again. So this is the initial play on between Kami and Kira that kind of kicked things off for a moment.
It was an odd move by Kira, to be honest.
It was. So at this point, here comes the teleport in from Yang. That's already part of the Courage of the Colossus plus the shield he gets. And Yang looks like he has about 4,000 health at least at that point. And there's the Redemption going off.
That was where my brain exploded. Yep.
We'll get used to seeing that, whether you're playing against it or with it. Gotta stand in that if you're with it.
Yep.
And this is where it goes a little bit wrong for the CBLoL representatives, because they go aggressive, they look for that first tower, and this is actually a good play here because they can get this tower back themselves away, but they get a little over-aggressive here. Yang tanks up the tower for a moment or two too long, and they don't really respect the damage that's going to come. Now that the minions are gone from in front of the tower as well, Yang just continues to tank it up. Ash Arrow damages 3, stuns Revolta, and Zanzara has a fair amount of damage himself, has that Titanic Hydra, gets himself into the mix, and they leave Yang for the Wolves, but it takes a long, long time to kill him.
Yeah, if this is an example of things to come, that Nautilus is most certainly going to be a difficult one to take down. Now has himself a Spectre's Cowl, as him and Smurf are fighting. But they're it's like 2 Titans. It's taking a very, very long time to do very much damage between these 2 guys, and they're very, very close as far as farm is concerned. That being said, Smurf not quite with the kills that Yang's been able to pick up. 2, 1, and 5 now for the Nautilus, looking very, very good. One thing I do want to say is that PBO tanked 3 turret shots, unfortunately, in that last engage. So maybe would have had a better time if that hadn't been the case. Revolta here is going to get caught out by the arrow. Hemo Plague's down. Oh my goodness, he's going to explode the Redemption. Once again doing some work. Heals up dude and does a bit of damage to Team Ice members as Yang gets himself into the backline, but is he a little bit too late? Good knock up as the Grey Health's eaten by Edward to keep himself up. Yang is just getting chipped down over and over, has to flash to get himself out as the ultimate is used by a Smurf to break up this fight. PBO probably happy to get to relative safety. The CIS very low, but are able to win out in the battle as Revolta the only casualty.
And now this is one of the differences and the difficulties of playing a full tank setup is if you do end up falling behind, you have fairly limited damage. You have a Syndra, you have an Ezreal to provide damage with the Graves as well, but when one of those pieces falls, very, very difficult to play a multi-tank setup. So Revolta was the one that got caught by the arrow initially, ends up falling to the Hemo Plague. The Redemption was a moment too late. Kira actually getting pushed back away from the fight and then swallowed up by Edward. Edward was waiting for him anyway, so they would have been able to keep him safe, but PBO is the one that is having to deal the damage with Kami here in this fight for the most part, and it's this back and forth. The CIS region don't really feel like sticking around, and then they get themselves out too. So a bit of a back and forth fight, but while the Baron buff's still active, the CIS region are going to continue to look to push.
Well, we'll see whether they can actually find it here, as they just always seem to have a Baron buff rotating around them post 20 minutes. It's just a thing that these guys are capable of, as Lex grabs himself the blue buff. Smurf and Kira just say that they don't really need it, and this top wave going to be indicated too, just because they want to get things pushing up and get some control back. Because Brazil, they were looking so dominant, they were winning these team fights over and over again, but CIS, with now 3 Dragons, if they can get that push working out for them, and if they can get control, dodge out of the way of these good engages that Yang's been able to get, they are looking absolutely fine, and the scaling might be now coming into play.
Oh, it definitely is coming into play now for the CIS region, but I mean, we look at how this game played out for Brazil. The moment that it goes wrong is when CIS jump over the back of Baron 20 minutes into the game using the fire plant, and they get themselves in, take out the Baron for the first time. Now they have 3 Mountain Drakes, the second Baron. It has turned the game completely around in their favor, and the tanks are great if they're in team fights and if the damage from the CIS team falls at the same time, but if you can't get onto the backline, can't get the damage down too, it becomes all too tricky a composition.
Yeah, the consistent damage now coming out of Lex is also huge. Has his Mortal Reminder completed, as well as the Runon's Hurricane and the Infinity Edge. Now with the cheeky Hex Drinker there as well, just to make sure that Kami can't explode him. So the Ashe, well and truly in control. He's been landing the arrows, doing exactly what he needs to do. This is what we're talking about. I mean, Edward and Lex have been laning together for at least a little while. And Lex has been playing with Smurf and Kira before. I mean, he was on hard random. This was last year's Kira. Yeah, looking for a big old dive. As Kami takes a fair bit of damage from the Hemo Plague, down to about half health. Redemption trying to keep Brazil alive as Kira uses the Zhonyas before the pull. Oh my god, that burst damage was huge as Revolta's able to take him down. Now Brazil looking to turn things on its head as Smurf's in trouble, but he's happy to tank up a lot of damage. Now going to be flashing out of the way. Brazil still on the offensive as he blasts his way over. Smurfs, he's out, dude, getting himself in, but that Pulverize is just not good enough if there is a consume available. Lex almost able to take him down. The Ignite isn't going to be enough. It is as Edward grabs himself the kill. His signature summoner spell doing some work as Zara now in the backline. PBO in trouble. He gets bonked into the wall and destroyed as Zanzara grabs that kill. Kami in trouble as Edward's just licking his face. But he's going to be able to make it to relative safety. Revolta overextending himself. And Zanzara so incredibly tanky. Another wallbang, and Yang, he's going to find himself dead. And somehow it was all completely turned on its head, and CIS only lose 1.
It's all from the target selection. They ignored Yang for so long, drew him away from PBO, and Zanzara and Smurf took the opportunity to strike and take away the damage. First they took out PBO, then they got Revolta, and Kami was fleeing for his life, and that left Yang to pretty much fend for himself, and he's easily picked off if it's only a tank on his own against 4 people. So this is where it runs out. If the damage is gone, there is no real way for the tanks to do too much on their own, and we're into a situation where it wasn't enough to end the game, but the CIS region will look for their 3rd Baron once they are back alive, and This was Kira going way too deep at first because he looks to try and pick off Kami, gets good damage down, but does not respect the crowd control as he comes out of the Zhonya's hourglass, does not respect the damage, and that's where it looks good again for the CBLoL representatives. But keep your eyes on the distance between Yang and PBO for this fight. Dude is the front line, leading them through for the majority of this, so he ends up taking so much damage, combos onto Lex, and that's the Tahm Kench strength, is Lex is safe for the entirety. Dude, at this point, is unable to do anything. Without a heal on his kit, the Ignite is enough to take him down, and Yang and PBO were too far away from each other, and Zanzara got the flash in, and Kami's dead.
Yeah, he most certainly is. Not entirely sure how, but the mid laner for Team Fire is now in the death chamber, and that is going to spell surprise. Yet another Baron here for CIS. How many Barons is that now?
That is number 3 at 35 minutes.
Ludicrous. Is that like on spawn almost every single time?
Yes, it actually was.
Yeah.
I believe we didn't quite see the timer on this one, but I would say so.
I think it's pretty much there. I mean, what is like 15 minutes from 20 minutes?
Do the maths.
I'm pretty sure 7, 7, 14. It's very, very close to on
close.
spawn. If you give them some time to actually take the dang thing.
Well, Yang's still recalling bot side. This is going to be a fairly easy push-up for now.
Well, Zanzara and Smurf, so incredibly tanky. They probably don't really care about this turret. As another minion wave's going to push through. Kira, another proto belt very aggressively as he just walks past the dredge line. He's got the pull, he's got the Zhonyas, and he's going to be able to keep himself up. Redemption now right in the back line of this fight as Ice do take a fair bit of damage from it, keeping up these Brazilian players. But my God, look at how tanky they are. Kira, yet another pull in this fight as the inhibitor does fall down. PBO has taken down Zanzara. As Kira, he's still alive. Dude's going to fall. Lex, just so much consistent damage. Look at the health bars, they're so low.